Hi, everyone. I'm Kat Mortensen with Our America, and I'm so pleased to be joined today by Vanessa Faura. Vanessa Faura works in the sort of nonprofit advocacy space, introducing minority voters and oftentimes they're immigrants into the sort of larger conservative world and the values that we all share, things that we talk about every day at Our America, like safe communities, a strong economy, freedom of religion, fair elections. And those are the types of values that really are the foundation of what it means to be a conservative. And at Our America, we, like Vanessa, we are also reaching out to members of the minority community and a lot of times even young people. They share our values, but they don't always realize that, hey, maybe I am a conservative, or right? Because so often minorities have been taught that, well, there's only one party, for us. So, Vanessa, those are the things we want to talk about. But before we hear directly from Vanessa, I want to play a short clip. Vanessa spoke just a few months ago at the Republican National Convention.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, America. My name is Vanessa Faura. I was born in Peru, and my family migrated legally to the United States when I was 9 years old. Like millions of legal immigrants, my family didn't begin our pursuit of the American dream by breaking the law. We respected America, and we wanted to earn our citizenship. When we arrived in the Bronx, we lived on the 6th floor of a graffiti-painted building. Both my parents worked 2 jobs. At 18, I achieved one of my greatest aspirations. I became a United States citizen. I asked my father which party I should join. He said that we're Hispanics, we vote Democrat. But the more I learned, the more I saw that the Democratic Party didn't represent my values. Republicans did.
Stop it there, because I think that's the starting point where I want to ask you. For you, it was all about values. You wanted to find a home that reflected your values. So tell us about that.
Yes.
And by the way, great job.
Thank you very much. Yes, so like I said on my speech, the more I learned, the more I knew more about who I was, how I was raised, my family values, and it was just it was a turning point for me at a personal level, and then pretty much it changed the trajectory of my life because I've learned so much about America, right? The United States, the values and principles that make this country the greatest country on earth. I was ready to take the test, the civics test for the naturalization. And this is when I asked my dad. He didn't have an answer for me. So being my mother's daughter, I didn't take that as an answer, right? He said, we are Hispanic, so we're Democrats. And I said, well, what is the difference between the parties? And he did not know, or he did not give me an answer. So I went and looked it up on my own. And I was just fascinated by the information that I found. And the more I looked, the more I wanted to dive into the information and read about the, one of the or the greatest stories that the world has ever known. And it's the story of the United States of America. And seeing that understanding and learning about our founding fathers and what they stood for and the intentionality that they had from the very beginning in wanting America to be that beacon of hope for the world, and the principles that they brought to the table to make sure that we had a great nation. To me, that was the biggest selling point in my life, because I understood then that is what aligns with the values that my family and I hold dear to us as well.
What were some of the values that you were raised with?
So as a Hispanic daughter, sister, mom now, God obviously comes first. Family, loving your country, individual freedoms. It's a big deal for us because we know that the bigger the government, the smaller the individual. And this is all due because of the lack of or the taking away of individual freedom rights, right? And this is why immigrants like me and my family run away from our native countries to begin with, because those individual rights are taken away by a bigger and bigger and bigger government. So this is why we're so much for limited government. We understand the importance of having living in a society, in a country where the government, it's limited. And also the rule of law, it was a big deal. It's always been a big deal to us because this is why our countries are, countries that are foreign countries are basically broken, because the rule of law, it's non-existent. We come to America thinking and knowing that it is the country of the rule of law. It's the country of individual freedom, limited government, because all of that is lacking in our own native countries. So another thing too, that we understand well, is just not explained to us when we are here on what are the political individuals, like individual political parties and politicians, on where they stand on the issue. That is the part that we're not getting, because it's not being messaged to us the right way. So we are all about a free market system as well, because as you know, immigrants are very entrepreneurial. We're all about entrepreneurship, and we are very innovative people. So having a free market system and living in a country where that is available, and it's a big deal for us, because it's the road to prosperity.
And Vanessa, you mentioned that a lot of times in the conservative world, we are not effectively reaching out to minorities, people like yourself. How can we do a better job?
One of the key things, and I bring this up at work all the time, because of my experience, I've done grassroots, also community organizing when I started in the political field. And I've come across so many different, people, groups everywhere in the country. And it's just one word. And I always say it's simplicity. We need to make the message simple in order to get to these folks, and at least to get their attention. It's pretty simple. We understand, we know, our side knows that that we're people that believe in God and family. We have, we believe in traditional values, but the message, it's never appropriately put out there, right? We make it so difficult that by the time it gets to the voters and people in the community, we're lost. It gets lost. And this is why the other side has been so successful, because they are very simplistic when it comes to reaching out to the minority communities. It's all about one sentence. They don't explain the why. They just say, this is it. We care for you. We like immigrants. We love immigrants. Well, what does that mean exactly? Because everything that you're doing is completely against what we stand for and believe in. But nobody tells us that part, right? It's just that we are Democrats. We love the immigrant community. We're here to help you. Well, how so? Because what you're doing is you're giving me an application to fill out for food stamps, maybe, and that's no help. Give me an application for a college or a job that I really want, which is what the other side would do. But no one tells us that, and no one brings the message across in that way.
And Vanessa, I heard you mention that you have been a grassroots activist and a community organizer. When I got started in this space many years ago, whenever I heard somebody was a grassroots organizer, for example, I knew President Obama had been one, and I always associated that with the left. Like, I never thought of conservatives as being grassroots organizers. But I would say in the last 20 years, I have seen a real shift, so that people in the conservative world are doing exactly what you're talking about, Vanessa. They're getting into these communities and engaging in new ways. Is that accurate?
Yes, we are starting to working towards that because it is what's going to work and what has already started to work. It is a bottom-up approach, Kat. It's as simple as that. Bottom-up approach, meaning that the work on the ground has to be a priority 100% of the time, because it is how you're going to get to these communities. The Hispanic population is growing dramatically. We all know that. I mean, it's been happening for so long, and that's not going to change. You know, whether we like it or not. Even with people in the country who are here illegally, they're going to find their way to legalization. So one way or another, they're going to eventually naturalize and become Americans, just like you and I. Therefore, voters. So it is so important to not just get the message out there with simplicity, but having that mindset of a bottom-up approach.
Vanessa, if people want to learn more about what you're doing, how they can get involved, where would they contact you?
Sure, they can email me at vf@ffroa.com. So that's V for Vanessa, F for Faura, at ffroa.com.
Got it. I have that on the screen now. And before we close out, is there anything you would like to add?
We live in the greatest nation on earth, but it's not guaranteed. We need to understand our story. And even if most of us do know it, let's remind ourselves on how we got here. And we need to do everything we can to protect it. And not just for us, but our kids and generations to come. We can't lose it. We will have nowhere else to go. So let's get out there and get involved.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you joining, and a special thank you to Vanessa Faura for being our guest today on this Our America video. Thank you.
Thank you.